After I came back from Greece, I got a lot of questions from people around me. So in this video, I'm going to answer the most important question. How much did I spend in Greece? If you are just looking for a quick answer, then here you go. I spent around 10,000 ringgit Malaysia. But in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I spent this money, and I'll let you know why I think that you can definitely spend way lesser than I did. Before we start, let me just give you a brief idea about this trip. I went in September, which is right after the peak season, and I went to 6 different places. In the beginning, I traveled with another 2 friends, so there were 3 of us in Athens, Santorini and Naxos. But after that, I started to travel solo. I flew from Kuala Lumpur to Athens with Qatar Airlines. The ticket was about 2,657 ringgit Malaysia, 2 ways. Then, I took a flight from Athens to Santorini. It cost about 320 ringgit Malaysia and is by Ryanair. The flight was only 1 hour. After that, I only used ferries when moving from one island to another. The best way to move around Athens is by using metro. The train can basically bring you to anywhere you want to. On the Greek islands, we use buses quite a lot. It is quite convenient if you are talking about those large islands like Santorini and Mykonos, but if you are talking about the small islands, this is not really a possible way for you to move around. The bus ticket costs about 2 euros per trip. Renting a car on the Greek islands is a great option if you are traveling in a group and wish to save yourself some time. The rental was about 45 to 55 euros per day, and we only spent 5 to 7 euros to fill the tank each day. So when we split the bills, we just have to pay less than 20 euros per person. In Athens, we stay in an Airbnb apartment. Each of us pay about 120 ringgit Malaysia for 2 nights. In Santorini, we stay in this place called Anna Pension. I got it from booking.com. It wasn't a big room and it's a little bit off the center, but we just have to pay about 300 ringgit Malaysia per person for 3 nights. On Naxos Island, we stay in this place called Sweet Home Naxos. I have to tell you that this is the best accommodation I have on the whole trip. I got it on booking.com and we pay about 203 ringgit Malaysia per person for 3 nights. Maybe I should make another video on Naxos Island and talk about this place in detail, because this island and this accommodation really deserve a video on its own. Then I started my solo journey in this small island called Donosa. I stay in a cottage-style apartment. I don't know how to pronounce the name of this place, so you have to check it out yourself. I got it on booking.com and I pay about 495 ringgit Malaysia for 3 nights. In Mykonos, I stay in a very small room called Frakulas Town. The reason why I got a very small room is because Mykonos is really expensive. But this room has everything that you need, and it is right in the center of Little Venice, so I think it's kind of worth it. I booked it on agoda.com and pay around 373 ringgit Malaysia for 2 nights. In Syros, I stay in Fira Guest House, and I have to say again, this is one of the best accommodation for the whole trip. I got it on booking.com and I paid 300 ringgit for 2 nights. I went back to Athens after the 5 islands, but this time I don't stay in a hotel anymore. I stay in a dorm room. It is called Bed Box Athens and I got it on agoda.com. I pay about 140 ringgit Malaysia for 2 nights. This part is a little bit more complicated because it greatly depends on your choice. In Greece, a meal can be as cheap as 2 to 3 euros if you just choose to eat gyros and souvlaki on pita bread. But if you want to eat seafood and drink some wine on the Greek islands, it can go up to 20 or 30 euros. This is where I think you can spend way lesser than I did because I eat seafood a lot and I drink alcohol almost every night. Or maybe it's every night, I can't remember. Obviously, when you are in Athens, you will want to visit Acropolis and the Acropolis Museum. The entrance fees are 10 euros each. Remember to get your ticket online because the queue can be very long. I also watched a performance at the Odeon of Herodes Atticus and I paid 30 euros for that. I have to tell you that it was a fantastic experience. But if you only have a short time in Athens, you may not be able to do this because the shows are not scheduled for every single night. Different shows cost differently, so you may be paying more than 30 euros or way lesser than that. Towards the end of my trip, I watched an orchestra in the Apollon Theatre on Syros Island. I have to tell you that it was magical. I paid 10 euros for the show, but again, if you don't have enough time, you may not be able to do this because the show is not on every single night and the entrance fees is different for different kind of shows. So if you really want to watch a show in the Apollon Theatre, you have to check online beforehand so you can plan your trip accordingly. This last part is the most important reason why I mentioned in the beginning that you really don't have to spend as much as I did. I shop a lot. I got 4 of these shirts that cost me about 25 euros each, a Greek leather sandal which was about 25 euros, a leather backpack 150 euros, alcohol from the airport about 40 euros in total, some skincare products and perfume 60 euros, and a bunch of random stuff, probably about 20 to 30 euros. Altogether, it was about 400 euros. If you cut these expenses, I definitely didn't spend 10,000 ringgit Malaysia. So a quick conclusion, is Greece an expensive country to travel to? Well, not really. If you plan properly and don't shop the way I did, you can definitely travel cheap in this amazing country. So that's all for today. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, do so. I'll see you again soon.